Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Adora, and if you're just joining me, thank you very much for stopping by, and I do hope that you will watch this video to the very end. Thank you. Alright, so there's a bit of a bad news at the moment, and it has to do with reducing the inflow of migrants from outside the UK to the United Kingdom. And the main focus of this downsizing of migrants is the area of student visas and the work tier visa routes. At the moment, the United Kingdom is trying to really downsize the number of people who come into the country. They think it is becoming too excessive, that in the last or in the recent months, a lot of people have actually moved down to the United Kingdom through this very route, and they are beginning to become uncomfortable with it. Now, I ran into a particular article online. I read it, and when I read it, it became actually clear to me that this is something they are not just thinking of or just trying to bring it out to the public, just for the public to hear, but it's something they're actually trying to execute. This is something they are really not comfortable with anymore. So I came across an article online where the Home Secretary was interviewed, and she had this to say. She said, "What we've got is too many low-skilled workers coming into this country. We've also got a very high number of students coming into this country, and we've got a really high number of dependents. These people are coming here. They are not necessarily working, or they are working in low-skilled jobs, and they're not contributing to growing our economy." Now, that's the very point that hits me, because if she's saying they're not contributing to growing our economy, that's quite strange, because the last time I checked, people who have come into the country as students, through the study route, or as workers through the work-skilled visa route, as long as I'm concerned, they are not eligible to any funding whatsoever in the country. They are not eligible to any form of assistance, any form of social benefits, or what have you. They are instead the ones that even contribute to the economy. In what way, you may ask? Now, before you come into the country as a student, bear it in mind that as an international student, the cost of fees is very high, no matter the school, no matter where exactly that school. Some people will be like, oh, if it's outside London, it's cheaper. If it's in this part of the country, it's cheaper. Wherever it is in the UK, it's still very expensive. So coming in as an international student, you're paying so much money to get your education. And as you're coming in with your dependents. Now, bear it in mind that if you're a man, for instance, you are the main applicant, like you're the student, and you're coming in with your wife and your kids. As you're coming in as a man who is the student, you are allowed to work part-time, while your wife is allowed to work full-time because she's your dependent. Now, when the both of you are working, you don't have any support whatsoever for the kids. You don't have any kind of child minding services or whatever it is. And even if you are interested in those services, you have to pay. And paying for child minding services is not a joke. So these things, I have not seen anybody who has come in through this route who has said that he or she is entitled to the social benefit, because you are not entitled to social benefits. You're not entitled to universal credits, that is, you're not entitled to benefits whatsoever. Your house is rented from a private tenant. You work to pay your taxes, you work to pay your rent, to pay your bills, to pay every single thing. There is no sort of help whatsoever. So by so doing, you are putting into the economy. You are contributing to the economy. You are paying your taxes. If it's just the school fees alone, that's even a lot of money. Do you know how many people, how many international students come into the country annually? And now, of recent, we have seen a massive increase in the number of people who have come into the country for that purpose alone, just for school alone. So in that sector, I could say that international students are really doing a whole lot in improving the economy through the money that they are bringing in for their education. So I don't really think I don't think it's a good idea to cut that route down. And then when you're talking about the workers visa, the work skilled visa route, the idea now is that she is thinking that people are coming in to do low skilled work, and that is not enough to boost the economy of the country. But if they're coming in to do low skilled work, that's what the government actually advertised earlier this year and last year. They have actually called for people to come into the country to cover those shortages that were not able to be filled by people in here. Everybody is contributing in one way or the other, be it a low skilled work or a high skilled work. As long as you're working, you are paying your taxes, you live in a house, you're paying your rent, you are paying for every single thing, every single services you use in the country. Because the last time I checked, if people keep saying, I hear a lot of people saying, oh, people are coming into the country and they are making use of the NHS services, they're going to collapse NHS services with the number of people who are rushing into the country. And I don't think that is true, because as far as I'm concerned, I know that people on these two routes in particular, before you come into the country, during your application process, you are required to pay the NHS surcharge fee, which is about £624 a year. Now, times that, multiply that by the number of people, number of dependents that you're coming in with, us by your partner and your children, depending on the number of children you have. That's a lot of money. And so when these people are paying the NHS surcharge fee, you are paying it in advance for the services you are expected to use from the NHS, from the healthcare. So how is that free if you have to pay for your own healthcare in advance? So I really don't understand when people say they are putting a burden on the healthcare system, because people are actually paying to make use of this healthcare system. And secondly, through the work skilled visa route, like recently we've had the HCA visa route that was open to a lot of people coming into work. People are pumping into such sectors to work and to pay taxes to cover the shortages that was actually a burden on such sectors. So from my own opinion and from my own point of view, I think this is even the best time to open up the routes for people to come into the country and contribute economically, and contribute to the country, and contribute to the growth of the country, as long as they are not depending on the government for any help, as long as they are not reaping from the government, as long as they are not even entitled to anything. Because I know a lot of people who come in through these routes have it on their visa clearly stated, no recourse to public fund. So if they have no recourse to public funding whatsoever, that means they are not in any way taking anything from the government. They are putting everything into the government. So it's actually a win-win situation. They are coming in for greener pastures to better themselves, and they are actually putting into the economy where they have come into to help it grow. I don't see anything wrong with that. I personally don't see anything wrong with people coming into the country and trying to boost the economy of the country, because that's what they are doing. They are boosting the economy of the country. Now, from the article, it's like the main point of concern is that the dependents are coming in with a lot of dependents, and they're actually doing low-skilled jobs. Of course, if they're coming in with dependents, these are children, definitely of underage category, that are not allowed to do anything, or they're not big enough or not old enough to take up employment. What is it exactly these kids of this age range are doing to destroy the economy of the country? I am still trying to understand, like, what exactly are they doing? Because they're depending on their parents, they're depending on the main applicants who brought them into the country to cater for them fully. They are not in any way entitled to anything the government has to offer. So I don't see how the dependents are a problem to the economy of the country. If you ask me, I will think that route should just be open. I'm not saying that immigration should not be cut down, or measures should not be taken to protect the inflow of people from other countries. But like, these routes are not realistically the routes you should look into, because I think these routes are made for people who are coming into the country to contribute something. This is not a time to cut down unnecessary immigration flow. this is a time to actually welcome people who are ready to come in and contribute. And even if there is anything that has to do with cutting the number of people coming to the country or what have you, I think it should be after the country has gotten more than enough, like enough people who they think, yes, we've gotten enough people who can fill in such vacancies we want, or fill in such spaces and schools and all that. That's fine. But to just cut it at this point because you think they're not contributing economically to the country, and you think their dependents and of like really of no use to the country or to the economy of the country, is not really a good idea. So from my own point of view, I think it's not a good idea to actually cut down on immigration from these two particular routes at the moment, because they are contributing massively to the economy as far as I'm concerned. So that's it from me to you. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.